Let's go. How's everybody doing? uh, Let me say good night and also welcome, y'all. Welcome again to Lariat Going Live. I'm not even sure what I want to call these segments, honestly. Why is this not refreshing to show all the new bullshit that I did? Let's see. Hopefully, this is not too loud. Let me turn it down. I can turn on Dodge. All right, so I want to say again, welcome to everyone. Tonight, we are looking at 15 crazy conspiracies that turned out to be true. Um, Actually, let me turn this down a little bit. Say that out. All right, let's do it like that. That's better. That's better. So tonight we're diving into stories so unbelievable that people were mocked, silenced, and labeled as crazy for talking about them until official documents, court records, government investigations, and whistleblowers proved they were real. So that is what we are about to get into. Um, this isn't fantasy, y'all. I would definitely say that. This isn't internet mythology. These are documented conspiracies that actually happened. Alrighty? And I'm wondering if I should just go with the presentation until we get people in on the live. Is there a way for me to use my let me try something. Not countdown. I think I can go down like this, do the green screen, and do this. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Maybe I might keep it like this. What y'all think? Y'all like this? So ah, I wish the background was showing more. I wish it was showing more, but we're gonna keep it like this, y'all. We're gonna keep it like this. Let me say welcome to everyone on the live. I appreciate y'all for joining. We are looking at 15 crazy conspiracies that turned out to be true. So stay in your seat. This is gonna get really good. Thank y'all for joining in on the live. We are looking at 15 crazy conspiracies that turned out to be true. If you've not yet subscribed, hit that subscription button. We are about to dive into this juicy. What's up, Tiny Lion Gaming? Turn the frogs gay. Alrighty, say less, my friend. But let me say welcome to everybody. We are looking at 15 crazy conspiracies that were actually confirmed to be true. So tonight, we are diving into stories so unbelievable that people were mocked, people were silenced, and labeled crazy for talking about them until official documents, court records, government investigations, and whistleblowers proved they were actually real. And we are about to dive into it. Alex Jones said they were returning the frogs gate, and it's true. Say less. So that is one. that is actually really funny, my friend. That is actually really funny. We got child of the Most High God saying narrow. I don't know what that is, but anyway, let's jump into these ideas that were presented. These ideas aren't fantasy. This isn't mythology. These are documented conspiracies that actually happened in real life. Active, bad bro. Active, wagwan, bro. Thank you for coming through, bad bro. Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you for coming through. So again, these are not mythologies, bro. These are actually things that occurred in real life. Um, and by the end of this live, you're probably going to question how many other crazy theories are waiting to be informed, are confirmed. So the first of the 15 conspiracies that we're looking at. Before we begin, I need everybody in the chat to answer this one question. What's one conspiracy you think might secretly be true? So, what is one conspiracy that you think might secretly be true? I might have to turn this music off a little bit. It's. I wanted to get something that was like really good, but I don't know. Let type it in the chat. What is one conspiracy that you're thinking that shit, this might actually be true. Type it in the chat. Let me know. You don't have to spam. Don't have to spam it either. What's up, France? I don't know if you say Francois. That's how you pronounce it. What's up, Francois? Thank you for joining in. So also hit the like button uh, so that YouTube can actually push out the stream. So hit that like button. So the first conspiracy that we have is called Project MK Ultra. Have you guys ever heard of Project MK Ultra? It is a CIA mind controlling experiment that they carried out. For years, people claimed the CIA was experimenting on human minds using drugs and psychological torture. Everybody laughed at them. Let me say, welcome to everybody on the live. We are looking at 15 conspiracies that turned out to be true. The first conspiracy is Project MK Ultra, CIA mind controlling experiments that they did. And for years, people claimed that, hey, the CIA is secretly trying to control people's minds using drugs and psychological torture. And everybody laughed like, shit, this can't be real. The truth came out, y'all. The truth came out. And you can fact check me on this. Project MK Ultra was a real CIA program started in 1950s. The CIA secretly tested LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and psychological manipulation on unwitting citizens. Some subjects didn't even know, sorry, that they were part of these experiments. So imagine you're there and they're experimenting on you and you don't even know that they're experimenting on you. That is crazy shit, y'all. That is crazy, crazy shit. So congressional hearings in the 1970s exposed it after documents were uncovered. So it actually turned out to be true that this was not BS. They were actually trying to mind control people. So that is something for y'all to consider. If you guys have any particular conspiracies that you think might actually be true, I want you to type it in the comment section. Again, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Feel free to hit that subscription button and be a part of the family. But imagine waking up one day and realizing your own government dosed people with psychedelics just to see if human behavior could be controlled. Imagine they're trying to control human behavior. Hence why sometimes you got to consider how much of your thought is actually your own. How much how much of what you think is actually 100% from your mind and not that it was actually programmed for you to think that way. You got to ask yourself that question, especially in the society that we're in. How much of your thought is your own? That's a good question. Now we're going to move on to the second conspiracy. This one is called the, I'm trying to pronounce this correctly. It's the Tuskegee syphilis study. This one was shocking when I was reading this one. This one was really shocking. This is kind of a dark conspiracy that turned out to be true. So, for decades, black men in Alabama were told they were receiving medical treatments when they weren't. And here are the facts. Here are the facts. From 1932 to seven, from 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service observed hundreds of African American men with syphilis without properly treating them. Even after penicillin became the accepted cure, none of those men actually received the penicillin. You know what I mean? We got 3938 saying, am I breaking my fast if I take my suppository medication during Ramadan? You saying it's supposition? What I'm presenting is not supposition. It is actually documented facts. It is documented facts that have been revealed to be true. So what they did in this experiment, in the study, investigators enrolled 600 men impoverished at, I mean, they were impoverished. These guys were like homeless. They didn't have much to eat. So they enrolled them in a program. Out of these 600 men, 399 had latent syphilis, with a control group of 201 men who were not infected. They were promised free medical care and funeral expenses. So they're like, hey, come join this program. We're going to give you free medical expenses. And if you die, we're going to take care of your funeral expense. The crazy part is, though, they were never informed of their syphilis diagnosis. They were never told that, hey, you guys have syphilis, y'all. Nah, they kept that as secret. They were provided with uh, disguised placebo effects, ineffective treatments, and diagnostic procedures. The men were told that the experiment was only going to be for 6 months. But guess what? The experiment that was supposed to be only for 6 months lasted for 40 years. 40 years. And we got YouTube LGBTQ network. This YouTube creator is a proud certified. I mean, you can state who you are, but never try to speak for who I am. I respect who you are, so you need to respect who I am. You can never speak for who I am, my friend. I know who I am. You know what I mean? I know who I am, my friend. So that is the crazy part about this conspiracy. It lasted for 40 years, even though these guys were told that this is only going to be for 6 months. The program was leaked to the press, which resulted in its termination on November 6th, 1972. So that is crazy. Let me get a little bit more music. Uh huh. We move with the fire of the ancestors. So by then, 28 patients died from syphilis. 100 died from complication related to syphilis. 40 of the wives of these patients got infected, and 19 children were born with congenital syphilis. So, and this is not something that I'm making up. This is documented. This is documented, y'all. Just imagine you're told that, hey, we are secretly taking care of you, but they had the treatment, but never applied the treatment to you. Until what? 40 years after you pass away, your wife contracts the disease, and your children are born with the disease. So that is crazy. So for those who are new on the live, we are looking at 15, I want to say, conspiracies that were turned out to be true, that they were actually documented to be true. Appreciate y'all for coming through again, y'all. Feel free to hit that subscription button. If there is a conspiracy that you think might be true, go ahead and type it in the comment section. We can look at it together. Um, so this destroyed trust in medical institutions for generations, y'all. And the worst part, the government admitted to this actual experiment. They admitted that, hey, we actually were experimenting on syphilis in African American men, and they wanted to see what would happen, or how far this disease would develop. So it is actually really, really crazy. I always say that that might be one reason why black men are scared to go to hospitals. You know, like we have to go to the hospital. We have to be like really sick, like really, really sick, to say, yeah, we're gonna go to the doctor. So, hey, I mean, you never know, that could be one reason why we hate going to doctors. So we've looked at two of these conspiracies so far. We're going to look at the third conspiracy that was confirmed to be true. And this one has a very weird pronunciation, but it's basically FBI spying on activists groups. So this was really crazy when I was reading on this. So it was basically a counterintelligence program that they started. It is said to be a series of covert and often illegal FBI project targeting domestic and political organizations. So it was a counterintelligence program that they started, and this was like within the 1950s thereabout. They started this program. So people once believed that the FBI was secretly infiltrating activist groups to destroy movements from the inside. Examples of some of these groups were examples of some of these groups that were targeted includes, but they're not limited to, Black Power movement like Malcolm X and even Bob Marley. It is also stated that they tried to target Bob Marley because reggae music had such a potent impact on the world in bringing people together and fighting against the division, that they felt that it was clandestine to their operations. And so they wanted to get rid of Bob Marley. Again, that is something that I've heard. Not sure how true that one is. Malcolm X is a documented fact. African Indian movement was also targeted. Feminist movement and environmental movement, just to name a few. There are a lot more movements that were targeted, but these are just a few that I'm naming. A goat stay. You say bon. Do you say bongos? Bongos. That's how you pronounce it. But yeah, y'all, that was a crazy time, and it is said that again this took place between 1956 to 1971. Even though the chronology of the program is still subject to debate, but this is the dates that we got when I was doing my research. It is said that many of the tactics used in the counterintelligence program are still in effect until today. And these include like false reports, discrediting targets through psychological warfare, and even assassination is a part of what they do. Bungus. Bungus. That's how it is. Bungus. Bungus. All right, Bungus, feel free to hit that subscription button. And this was actually confirmed to be true, y'all. This was confirmed to be true. This was not shit that was made up. This was confirmed to be true. This shit was confirmed to be true. These guys weren't playing back then, y'all. They weren't playing. So here are some facts about the I'm trying to see if I can pronounce this. This was like the Co COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO. I think that's how they pronounce it. COINTELPRO. It was a FBI counterintelligence program targeting civil rights leaders, anti-war groups, and political activists. The FBI used surveillance, infiltration, psychological warfare, as I mentioned earlier, and disinformation campaigns. The operation was exposed after activists broke into an FBI office in 1971 and leaked documents on this particular program. You know what I mean? So that is crazy. Tell me that. So if you should really think about it, the landscape of not just political ideas but the world would look way different if these programs weren't instilled. And had a lot of these groups been left to flourish, a lot of what we are seeing now today would be way different than it is now, because a lot of those ideas would have developed into something different, and they would have impacted the world differently. But they felt that a lot of these groups, they were detrimental or counterproductive as to where they wanted the world to go, and that's why they did the infiltration and tried to at least snuff them out in their infancy before they could develop. So that is something to definitely consider. So they literally try to dismantle movements by creating chaos internally. You know what I mean? I mean, which is like, I want to say it is a smart way to approach the situation. Don't get me wrong. I do give them credit for being smart. You know what I mean? Let's see if I can get a little bit of music in this bad boy just to keep it going. To the elders. So we looked at what, three so far. The first one was the MK Ultra program. The second one was the Tuskegee syphilis study. Number three was the spine program, counterintelligence program. And now we are looking at the. So this one is called Operation Northwoods. This sounds like a movie plot, honestly. Operation Northwoods. Like, it's like a movie you can make from this. A plan to stage attacks on American civilians to justify war. This again was said to be a conspiracy, but then it was confirmed to be true. Here are the facts, and again, you can fact check this, y'all. The classified documents reveal that in 1962, U.S. military officials proposed staging fake terrorist attacks and blaming Cuba to build support for military intervention. But President Kennedy rejected the idea. He said that President Kennedy rejected the idea, like, yeah, hell nah, we're not doing this. But I want you all to think about that, like, critically. Critically think about it and think about it carefully. But official documents confirm this was seriously discussed to attack their own and then say, hey, these guys are the one that did it. You know what I mean? So that is crazy, y'all. That is crazy. That is very crazy. Let me turn this song up. Give thanks to the stars and the heavens above. Oh, that song is fire, boy. That song is fire. Anyway, we are going to look at number 5. Again, I want to say thank you to everyone that has joined the live. If y'all have any questions, feel free to hit me with some questions. If there is a conspiracy that you think might be true, feel free to type it in the comment section so we can discuss it together. You know what I mean? Type it in the comment section. Again, thank y'all for being here. So number 5, they actually did that. Yes, yes, Sean, for sure. They actually did it, bro. They were willing. They were willing. Let me say, these guys were willing to attack their own civilians so that they could muster up what you want to say, a reason to start a war. Like, hey, these guys attacked our own, we have to defend our own. When they were the one that attacked their own and they were staging it, so that actually happened. But here's another crazy conspiracy that was documented to be true. Let me know if the music is too loud or if it is okay. Let me know. Oh, 9/11, yeah. 9/11 is another one too. 9/11 is crazy. 9/11 is crazy. Yeah, yeah, I remember 9/11. Where was I? Ancestors whisper every time the wind cry. I'm trying to remember where was I when it happened. And I mean, the entire world was in an uproar. At the time, I would be honest. I didn't like fully understood what was happening until I got older and I started reading on the event. That I was like, oh, cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. But let me know if the music is too loud or if everything is balanced like perfectly. Let me say welcome again to everyone on the live. Appreciate that comment, Sean. Appreciate that comment. So another crazy conspiracy that was confirmed to be true was the NSA mass surveillance. So people used to say that the government was watching everyone's phone calls and internet activities. We got Dagomit. Oh, what's up, Dagomit? What do blacks and whites have in common? Yeah. That's actually a funny joke, bro. That is actually a funny joke. I ain't gonna lie. That is funny as shit. A little bit cynical, but it was funny. I ain't gonna lie. That was funny. That was funny shit. But anyway, the NSA massive surveillance program. Um, Most people laughed when they were told that, hey, they're actually spying on us. You know what I mean? And listening to our conversations. Then a guy by the name of Edward happened. You know what I mean? And these are the facts. Y'all can also, hey, for sure, my bro. I'm gonna be 100% honest. If something is funny, it's funny. You know what I mean? That's how I am. Certain things don't rile me up like other people. You know what I mean? But anyway, these are the facts for the NSA massive surveillance program that they have. In 2013, Edward leaked classified NSA documents proving mass surveillance programs were collecting phone and internet data on millions of people globally. And I'm not talking just in a small area. This was being done globally. On June 14th, 2013, United States prosecutor charged Edward, with espionage and theft of government property because he leaked all of those files. You know what I mean? In November of 2013, a criminal investigation of the disclosure was undertaken by Britain's Metropolitan Police Services in December. And in December 2013, the Guardian editor Alan said, we have published only 26 documents out of the 58,000 that they've seen. So Edward was like, hey, these guys are spying on us, and he leaked some documents, which it is said to be like over 58,000 documents that he revealed, but only 26 out of that 58,000 was actually published. So who knows what else were in those documents, y'all? That is crazy to me. That is crazy to me. The phrase "they are listening" stop sounding like a paranoid statement. It's actually a real statement when we say that they are listening, bro. They're listening for sure. And then we are at number 6 on the I want to say craziest conspiracies that were confirmed to be true. And they were like no more conspiracies. This one is big tobacco. This one is about tobacco. Appreciate the likes. I appreciate the likes. Keep liking the live. That way YouTube can send out the live. I know because of the topic that I'm talking on, they will not try to push this out. You know what I mean? So you have to like the live for YouTube to recommend and suggest so that we can have some more people in here for the presentation. So thank you for the like. Keep hitting that like button. Keep hitting that like button. Hit that like button right now because YouTube definitely won't push this stream out if we don't. You know what I mean? It is a little bit, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that. I appreciate that, y'all. So we did look at the Operation Northwood. We looked at the counterintelligence program, the syphilis program, or the Tuskegee program that they were doing. And now we are moving on to conspiracy number 6, which is big tobacco. And this was crazy to me when I was reading this research. Appreciate the likes, y'all. So for years, cigarette companies publicly denied smoking caused cancer. Tobacco companies knew that cigarette smoke contained radioactive alpha particles for more than 4 decades, and they developed a deep and intimate knowledge of these particles causing deliberate cancer. And this was done by the UCLA researcher. They did this research and they're like, these guys literally know like 4 decades ago that this shit was harming people. The radioactive substance, which the UCLA study shows, was first brought to the attention of the tobacco industry in 1959. I want y'all to register that. This was in 1959 that they discovered this. And they also had another discovery in 1980 that could have helped eliminate the substance called polonium 210 from tobacco, which was causing cancer at the time. Even when they knew it, they're like, to hell with that. The profits are better. Yes, the government paid for the false research. For sure, my friend, for sure, for sure. So they discovered 2 ways to treat or get rid of this particular cancerous substance. The technique that was introduced at the time to get rid of the polonium was called acid wash, which was found to be highly effective to remove the radioisotope from tobacco plants, but they didn't. Internally, they knew that tobacco was killing people, but they didn't. Parents were smoking in cars, in the airport, at the grocery store. Yeah, bro, they were smoking everywhere. I mean, parents were smoking everywhere. Kids were being affected, y'all. I mean, generations. Just imagine how many generations have been affected by this. And even when they knew it and they could have stopped the effects, they didn't because of what the profits were crazy. Because I mean, everybody was smoking. Everybody was smoking. Again, keep liking the like so YouTube can push this shit out. Alrighty. So, let me pick up where I left off. So, internal documents show that tobacco companies knew smoking was addictive and linked to cancer for decades while publicly denying it. So, even when they were like attacked, like, hey, this product is killing people, they're like, hell nah, this ain't killing nobody. What's up, Paulette? Paulette McKenzie, how you doing? Let me say welcome in. Up until the late 80s, and so this is let me turn this down just a little bit. This is by how do you say this? Corcho. He's saying up until the late 80s, and finally they made legislation to stop the hospitals first. So yeah, late 80s. You're pretty correct. I do know that the first discovery on how to mitigate the poisonous substance polonium was in like 1959. But I mean, I'm definitely going to read some more on that for sure. But I do appreciate that comment, my friend. But they knew that this thing was killing people, and they were hush hush on the matter. I was there. My guy said I was there. That's what's up. Hell yeah. So we have somebody in the building to actually corroborate what I'm saying. So you know that what I'm saying isn't made up shit. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people make shit up in this time and age. So appreciate that, my friend. My guy said he was there. I'm not gonna ask how old you are. I'm not gonna ask how old you are. We're gonna leave that for everybody else to figure out. But I guess I want to ask you, how how is how is the world looking now as opposed to in the 80s? You know what I mean? I want to know. Tell me, how does the world look in your from your perspective? Because you've seen a lot of shit. Absolutely. You're speaking truth and facts, brother. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So there was a massive lawsuit. There was a massive lawsuit that they carried out against these guys after a lot of things came to light. And I think it was like 1998. There was like a master settlement agreement that like exposed the deception. So that's what's up. That's definitely what's up. Now we're moving on to conspiracy number 7. Again, thank y'all for being on the live. We are looking at some of, I want to say, major conspiracies that were actually proved to be true. So these are no longer conspiracies. Thank y'all for coming through. Feel free to hit that like so you too can push out this live stream. You know what I mean? Let me know if y'all can actually hear me, even though I'm playing the music in the background. I want to make sure that you guys can hear what I'm saying. This world is definitely not the world I grew up in. We definitely riding the wheels till they fall off at this point. That is funny shit. Riding the wheels until they fall off. I can only imagine, man, because in my small time on the earth, I've seen a lot of changes. I know you've seen so much more than I have seen. So I can only imagine how strange things look to you. And when you try to present that particular paradigm to this new generation, some of them they don't even understand how strange this particular time is as opposed to what you're used to. You know what I mean? But I want to say thank you to everybody that is on the live. Feel free to like the live so YouTube can push the live out. So we are looking at conspiracy number 7, which is the Gulf of Tolkien incident. So this one was crazy when I was reading about the Tolkien or Tonkin. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm messing up the pronunciation, but anyway, one of the biggest justifications for escalating the Vietnam War. You know what I mean? I was like, what? They wanted to escalate the war, so I started digging. I started digging, y'all. So this is what I came up with after digging. So I found that in trying to escalate this war, what they use or what they told the public wasn't actually so. So this is what happened. The the government claimed that North. So the government claimed North Vietnamese forces attacked American ships in 1964. Later investigations and declassified NSA records revealed the second attack likely never occurred. On the night of August 4th, two U.S. destroyers reported they were attacked by North Vietnamese vessels and that they were returning fire. After doing like literal investigations, y'all, it was revealed that on August 4th, the attack never actually happened. So no North Vietnamese vessels had been present shortly after the events. The National Security Agency and the Agency of U.S. Defense Department deliberately secured intelligence or skewed intelligence to create the impression that an attack had been carried out so that they could escalate shit. I was like, what the hell is going on? Drake, who? I just don't understand how Drake is being compared to MJ. Oh, is it that's a conspiracy? Ah, shit. It says that's one of the biggest conspiracies that you can think about right now. How Drake is being compared to MJ. Ah, shit. But let me get y'all's opinion because we are talking about serious shit. But anyway, let me get y'all's opinion on it. Do you guys think old Eddie Murphy looking ass was sub Walls? How you doing, bro? How you doing? I've heard that I look like Eddie Murphy. That's not the first time I'm hearing that comparison. It's great to be compared to the greats. You know what I mean? But that's fine. But let me ask y'all: do you really think that Drake is better than MJ? I really want to hear y'all's perspective on it. So I'm gonna just say leotards, bro. I'm just gonna say leotards is saying we had vaccinations every summer, even if it was the next state over, it was still a planned thing and affordable. I mean, that's another thing that if y'all want me to do a presentation on the inception of vaccines and if they actually work or they don't, I would love to do that for y'all too, so we can dive into facts. Because it's good to always give opinions, but we want to corroborate or ideology with information. You know what I mean? But I mean that's another thing to get into, leotards. That's definitely another thing to get into. But back to what I was saying, a war-changing event was based on misinformation. And this is not just me saying this. You can research this. This is actually documented to be true. This is actually documented to be a fact. MJ was black and white and still had women falling for him. Drake is bold and can't even reach the record sales. That's crazy. Shit. Hey, Sherwin is saying shit is crazy, bro. Like everybody right now is crazy. That is crazy, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That's funny though. That is funny. MJ was black and white and still had women falling for him. Yeah, bro. That my God, I can remember when I think I was like what? I was like 9 or 8 at the time when I was watching I think it was maybe one of the last tour he did. I'm not sure, but it could be a replay of that tour that I was watching. And I saw women just fainting when this guy was like hee hee. Woman was like, I'm like there were times when I thought that it was staged. I was like, there's no way somebody would actually faint. But now that I've grown older and I've gained an understanding of people's psyche and how people actually operate, then I know it is possible that it was just actually true and it was not staged. We got Sebastian in the building saying your mic echoes like crazy. Thank you for telling me that, bro. Let me see if I can turn this echo down. Your mic echo like crazy. Is that better? Is that better? Is that any way better? Let me know. But it should be the MC mode with it with the noise. You shouldn't have that much reverb on it. Is that better? I can still hear that echo for real, my friend. I don't know why it's echoing like that. Behind the mask. Up it just a bloom, so if you feel is that a little bit better? Let me know if that's a little bit better. Sebastian, let me know if that's a little better. My bad, you was on to something. Let me stop acting a fool. Nah, bro, be yourself, bro. Be yourself, my friend. MJ was and still is the greatest performer ever. I ain't gonna lie, bro. That dude could perform, bro. MJ could perform, bro. My guy was built different. You know what I mean? In Greek, we would say MJ was the monogenes, the only unique one of his kind. You know what I mean? And I think I might just go through like 2 more of these conspiracies, honestly, and call it a night. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go through 2 more of these conspiracies, and we're gonna call it a night. I am trying to go live almost every day for 30 minutes to an hour. Like every day, I'm trying to do that. So if y'all ever want to hang out, just know that I'm here. Hey. So we have what we call Operation Paperclip as number 8 on the conspiracy list. So after World War II, America secretly recruited from basically Nazi scientists, y'all. I know it sounds fake, like yeah, they recruited Nazi scientists, but it wasn't. Operation Paperclip brought over 1,600 German scientists and engineers, including some tied to the Nazi regime. And they brought them into the United States to assist with the Cold War and the space race efforts. You remember when everybody was trying to go to space? Like who was going to be the first one to land on the moon? Which, again, arguably was still, I want to say, a hoax. A lot of people believe that the moon landing actually did not occur. The first time they said that it occurred, you know what I mean? So they brought over 1,600 German scientists and engineers. And they, by the way, these are no longer classified as conspiracy. You're right. I should say they're actually proven. So hence why, if you read my thumbnail, it is conspiracies that were actually proven. So these are no longer conspiracies. Depending on how you understand the definition of conspiracy. So these are actually proven facts that I'm talking about. So this should actually happen, y'all. Actually happen. So let me ask you something, leotards. Do you believe in the moon landing? That's what I want to ask. Do you believe that they actually went to the moon? Right. Biggest lie they told the world. Sure, Wayne said that's the biggest lie that they told to the world, that they landed on the moon. Hey, let me turn the music down. One guy said on, I think it was like a talk show. There was like a panel of like four guys talking about the moon landing, and one guy was like, "Do you believe that when the world had black and white TV, what's up, greasy man? How you doing? Whoa. What's up, my bro?" So the guy was like, "Do you believe that when we had black and white TV, we didn't have any freaking actual cell phones? You know what I mean? That you strap somebody into a rocket, shot them to the moon, and then they landed on the moon, bounced around for a little bit with somebody filming. Even before the spaceship got there, there was somebody there already filming. And then they came back down after bouncing around, and said, "Yeah, we went to the moon." Do you really believe that? So that is, in my humble opinion, you know what I mean? A lot of shit has been fabricated to create a perception, and that's what they're selling. They're selling the perception, and because sometimes perception is also everything. How you perceive something will internally affect how you view and you treat that thing. You know what I mean? If you see something as worthless, you treat it as worthless. If you see something as valuable, then that's how you treat it, as being valuable. Appreciate the likes on the live. You appreciate the likes. So that is not no longer a conspiracy, but that was a proven fact. That was a proven fact. Appreciate everybody for joining in on the live. Honestly, at this point, absolutely not. I did learn that the US is great at the optics and guiding the masses into believing a lot of scary things. That is crazy shit, bro. That is crazy shit. And I mean, it is not just the US, I would say. It is more like a group of people who believe that they are above and beyond mere mortality. Let me put it that way. And it is their sole purpose to shape the world in the image that they want the world to be in. That's how I understand it from all the thinking that I've done. They want to shape the world in how they want it to look. They want to recreate the world in their image. And of such, in order to accomplish that goal, again, it is being, they're employing propagandas. Um, they're they're creating a multiplicity of opinions in order to, I want to say, confuse people from discerning truth from fact, truth from falsehood. I almost said something crazy. Anything Babylon tell us is the opposite. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. So God complex. That's what's up, bro. God complex. A lot of these guys have the God complex. Of such, if you read even a bit farther, you will see where I think one of the main aim right now within this biochemical age that we're in is to integrate human and robotics. That's where AI also comes in. They're trying to integrate human and robotics in order to prolong life. Because a lot of these guys with a lot of money, they want to live forever, my friend. I'm telling you. They do not want to come off their seat of power. They do not want to give up their position of power. And so for them, if they can prolong life 100 or 150 years, they will gladly do so. You know what I mean? And that's what they're trying to do now because of that God complex. So thank you for saying God complex, my friend. That is definitely something to consider. And then let me see, let me go for another one that was really good. Have y'all ever heard of Operation Sea Spray? So imagine your own city being used for a biological testing without your knowledge. So they're testing a crazy weapon in your backyard and you have no freaking knowledge of what is going on. So in 1950, the US Navy secretly sprayed bacteria over San Francisco to study biological warfare. The I think this is pronounced dispersal pattern. So they wanted to see how biochemical weapons actually work, and they tested this in San Francisco. The operation later became public knowledge. So I mean, from the 1950s, they've been trying out biological warfare, and if you do the math, some 70 years after, or 70 plus years after, just imagine how much better these weapons have gotten. You know what I mean? Because humans had over 70 years to, I want to say, perfect these weapons. So that is something to consider, y'all. That is definitely something to consider. Hence why, even with the hantavirus and even with COVID, there are a lot of speculations as to what actually transpired with as it regards to spreading those particular viruses. But hey, there's a lot that I can say and I will not say. I might do it in a more let me leave it alone. Let me leave it alone. Well. Our children from 14 to 30 can't read. Imagine the nonsense they can feed them. And that's what's up, bro. Keeping people misinformed, not just misinformed, but having people incapable of assessing information and ascertaining information, which is by them not being able to read, literally is the gateway in which you can control people with misinformation. Because guess what? They won't open a book, they won't read. Every idea in every part of our lives come from the military. My degree was for organizational development and studies, and it came from the military. That's what's up. When you look at the root of the world or how the world operates, it runs from money, and a lot of money comes in when there's war. So I will say no more on that, my friend. Leotard, I will say no more on that. That is a mouthful in and of itself. And for those who understand, they understand. You know what I mean? So that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. And have y'all ever heard of Project Sunshine? Project Sunshine. This one sounds like a horror film. It sounds horrifying because it was actually horrifying. Project Sunshine. I mean, it sounds. Let me say it sounds fun, but it wasn't fun. Sounds fun, but it wasn't fun. So Project Sunshine was a government program secretly collected human tissue samples, including from deceased infants, to study radioactive fallout from nuclear testing. Families often had no idea that this was being done. And again, these were not conspiracies anymore. These were actually proven facts. Yeah, that hey, yeah, these guys were taking samples and they were testing these samples. But let me hear what Leotard has to say. What does the military do when they are not at war? That's when we have to pay close attention. That is a poignant, I want to say, profound, I want to say, idea to consider. What do they do when there's no war? Because again, if you should look at the structure of the world, and if you should trace when the most money was made in the world, or by whom it's actually made, then the money reveals a lot. You know what I mean? They say follow the money, follow the money, and the money leads you to. There's certain things that I can't say. There's some things that I can't say, but just follow the money. That's all I will say. That is. But appreciate the likes on the live. I appreciate the likes on the live. But I want to say, or I want to ask my audience, out of all, I think I presented like nine or 10 conspiracies that were proven to be facts. Which one shocked you the most? Which of these conspiracies shocked you the most? And if you weren't here for the beginning of the presentation, I will briefly summarize all of the conspiracies that I touched on. That way you can have an idea of what we went through. So the first crazy conspiracy that was proven to be true was MK Ultra, which is basically a mind control program that the government did, trying to control people's mind. You know what I mean? And again, that's not shit that I'm making up. That's actually real shit. The other was a Tuskegee syphilis study where they had over 600 I want to say participants, because they were actually scammed in believing that they were being healed when they were being studied to see what would happen if they leave this disease in their body and pretend that they were healing these human beings, which they told them that would last for 6 months, and it went on for 40 years. We have the I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly. Y'all don't kill me. Um, COINTELPRO, or the counterintelligence program, where FBI agents would infiltrate activist communities in their inception and basically just destroy them from the inside, so that these little groups would not flourish, because the ideas that they were presenting, it was counterproductive to the government. Leotard is saying MK Ultra is still an active study. That is definitely still an active study, bro. That is definitely happening today. And I also made mention about some of the tactics that they're using from these studies. So y'all can pay attention to what's going on in the world. We also have, that is number three. Number four was the Operation Northwood, where they literally wanted to attack their own citizens and then blame it on another party so that they could start a war. That would have given them the incentive to start a war. Number five was the NSA mass surveillance, where it was revealed that these guys were spying on human beings. Like, they were literally listening to conversations, reading the text messages that you were sending. And again, it is said that Edward leaked over 58,000 documents, and out of the 58,000, only 26 was revealed. So I can only imagine what else was in those documents. We also have big tobacco, that they were hiding the fact that cigarettes basically are tobacco, contained a polonium 210. That is a cancerous agent. And even when they had the know-how as to how to get rid of this deadly substance, they chose not to. And I mean, a lot of people died, and we are still feeling the effects of their decision up until this very point in history. We looked at the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where they basically stated that Vietnam ships attacked the American ship, and they returned fire, and da 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 da. That escalated the war, which again was a fictional story made up to escalate a war. The Patriot Act and Google are still doing that. I mean, there's a lot of these tactics that are still being employed, or programs that are still in effect, in a more, I want to say, sophisticated way. But then again, you can hide things just to a degree. Not everything can remain a secret forever. You know what I mean? The fact is that the truth will come out. No matter how you try to hide the truth, it will come out. It finds a way to come out. We also looked at Operation Paperclip, which was after World War II, where America recruited over 600 Nazi scientists and engineers. And again, this was a part of the moon race. Um, and I also looked at Operation Sea Spray was the last one that we looked at, which spoke about like biological testing biological weapons in the backyards or the backyard of San Francisco. So out of all of these theories that were proven to be facts, which one scares y'all the most? Like, I don't want to say scare, but which one is like really crazy? Again, Leotard is saying that MK Ultra, which is about mind control, is one of the craziest. I mean, imagine if you can control a human's mind. I mean, they can control a human's mind. So let me not say imagine if you can, because it is happening. If you listen to how the world is speaking, just listen to how the world is speaking. That's all I will say. If you listen to how majority of the world is speaking, you can tell that there is a ultra hypnosis going on. There is a ultra hypnosis going on, and it is causing mass hysteria, I will say. And people are talking like they're animals. People are talking like they're no longer human beings. You know what I mean? And this is something that is mind-boggling to me. It is mind-boggling to me. Like how are these people talking like this? Like this is this is not human. This is definitely not human. And when I say not human, I mean a human being that cares about their race, cares about the advancement of their race. Like this is anti-human rhetoric that I'm hearing. You know what I mean? But I want to say thank y'all so very much for sticking through with me. I do appreciate everybody that participated on the live. You guys were amazing. You guys were amazing. The news is the biggest mind. Yeah, bro. I don't listen to the news anymore. I don't watch that shit no more. I'm at that level where I try not to plug too much in to what is happening because the truth is, no matter how conscious or conscientious you are, the mere fact that sound can how do I say this, like sound can pass your frontal lobe where you think and still affect your brain. You know what I mean? From how we understand how the mind works, you can have unconscious and conscious thought. Like it can go through your subconscious and still affect how you see the world and how you operate. That's just how your mind works. Like even though you're saying, I'm not listening to this, if it plays in the background, it seeps into your system. That's how your mind works. So some things I try not to listen to because I don't want it to affect me consciously or unconsciously. I mean, you just got to understand how your mind works. So again, the news is one of the biggest tool being used to, I want to say, what's the right word? It's like a synonym for start. Huh. But anyway, yeah, it's one of the biggest shit they're using to create this mass hysteria, this mass brainwashing, where people have developed like a cult like mindset. It's almost like a cult like mindset that I'm hearing. And the crazy part is that most people sound the same. I'm like, how y'all sound the same on these crazy topics? Like, how can y'all agree on this crazy ass shit that I'm hearing? They have played into the fact that pure minds love autopilot and love rather not do the work in pondering or researching what we are told. That is very profound, my friend. There's a song written by Damian Marley and June. It was Damian Marley and Nas. Truthfully, it was not written just by them. If you should read the fine print, I think there were like 6 or 7 writers on that project. And these guys were, you could tell that these guys were educated. And there was a line in the song that said, most people won't research and find the root of the truth that they speak of. And I remember when I was in university and I heard those words in a song, I was like, God damn, this is deep. And it made me question my entire existence. Like, how far have I delved into the ideologies that I've subscribed to? How far did I push the boundaries to see if these ideas are worth holding on to, or should I throw them away? You know what I mean? A lot of the ideas and I want to say the routines that we take on to are from a cultural perspective. It was indoctrinated into us by our parents and our society. And have you ever taken the time to think, like, why do I believe what I believe and why do I do what I do? How far can you push it? Absolutely, the Marleys were always onto something, and we love them for it. Cross for sure, my friend, for sure. Yeah. Most people won't research and find out the root of the truth that they speak of. They will just speak. But when you ask them, where does that idea come from? They cannot trace the idea. They cannot trace the lineage of the idea to its falsehood or whether or not if it's true. You know what I mean? But man, you guys are awesome. Man, you guys are awesome. You guys have me talking about shit that I always wanted to talk about. But I'm not gonna say I was too scared to talk about it. But I'm just conscientious. You know what I mean? I'm really conscientious. It is that we are in a time where people cannot, or it seemingly seems that if you open your mouth and you sound like you are against the entire wave, that you become shunned and disdained. Jamaican brothers always be grounded. Hey, that's what's up, my friend. You have to be grounded, man. In this wave of information, you need to be grounded. If you're not grounded, you will get swept away by any, I want to say, mere falsehood that you hear or misinformation. And a lot of people are being swept away, man. A lot of people have been swept away. You know when I know that something was seriously wrong with this world, and I mean, I literally woke up to this. I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't see it coming, but I didn't pay much attention to it because I thought that this idea would not have developed to the capacity that it developed to. It was when I saw people started identifying. That's when I knew that this world is messed up. When people started identifying, I was like, the shit, what? People are what? Identifying? Like, you're identifying? What does that mean? I woke up to that shit, y'all, because I mean, I saw shit coming, but I didn't want to be too plugged in because when you can see things in advance, it messes with your mind where you can sometimes become paranoid because certain things that you can see beyond its time before it happens, when you say shit to people, people think that you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking shit. And then when it happens, they were like, oh yeah, you said this. But within the moment of you telling them that, hey, this is what is going on, they look at you like you're crazy. And I mean, I saw shit coming. I know what seeing shit coming does to the mind, and I wanted to plug out. So I plugged myself out as much as I could. And so it was like I woke up to people identifying. I'm like, nah, bro, this shit is crazy. How can people really believe that this shit is normal? Like it has been normalized. Like, yeah, bro, you can identify as to what you want to be. Like, nah, my guy, that's not how the real world works. You know what I mean? That's not how the real world works. I can identify as a car, but I'm a human being, my guy. Um, it doesn't mean that it is reality. Hope your channel really grows. You're onto something, and I know you have to be careful because folks love to hate. Peace to you, brother, and keep fighting the good fight. Flood social media with truth. That's what's up, my friend. That's what's up. I appreciate you, Leotard. Appreciate you for all the profound wisdom that you've shined or you shone while I was on the live. I appreciate everything that you stand for too, my friend. Again, I'm trying to go live as often as, but I also want to go live with substance and not just like frivolity. You know what I mean? Again, I'll be doing some fun lives here and there, but I really want to talk. I really want to talk. I want to grow. There's so much that I want to unpack. There's a lot on my spirit that I want to unpack. Not only because I want to help people, but I know it's going to help me. You know what I mean? Sometimes in life, you have to try to help others in helping yourself. You know what I mean? Help people so that you can grow. And there's a lot that I've been thinking about, a lot of information in my head that I want to share. And I also want to get feedback on it to see if what I'm thinking, if I'm on the right path. But I appreciate that confirmation for sure, bro. Again, I only go live for 30 minutes to an hour. because I do have a young baby, so I can't stay too long on the live. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be disciplined, but I appreciate everybody for coming through, y'all. I want to say one love, man. I respect y'all for being here. Before I go out, man, I got to play a song that I wrote. Let y'all enjoy some good music. You know what I mean? Let's see which one was it. Which of these songs were really good? Yes, sir. I think this was it. This was it. This one is fire. No, I think the male version was better. Which one is the male version? Oh, here is it. Male version is right here. Hope y'all enjoy this, y'all. Hope y'all enjoy this. Yeah, yeah, bro. Big up, bro. What's up, Keithan? I'm about to sign out, my friend, but I appreciate you for coming down. Honor to the children. Bro, my day is going great, man. I do have that song for you, though. I did do that song for you, Keithan. Africa, right. So I think I want you to send me your email, and then I'm going to send the song over to you. You know what I mean? Give thanks to the stars and the heavens. Yeah, you gotta send your email, Keithan, so I can send the song over to you. That we walk through life. Pure heart, pure soul. Alrighty. Again, y'all, one love, man. I'm out. You know what I mean? I got to definitely go spend some time with my little guy. Appreciate y'all. Y'all